Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back. More of the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. I just saw a tweet from Millard South grad Cam Kozeal, who said, "What a blessed life." Hashtag Omahogs, hashtag Rosenblatt, hashtag CWS, hashtag College World Series, hashtag Omaha. This is after, of course, he got done with the press conference the other night and said, "Sleep over at the Kozeal's house."
Oh.
So he's coming home with the Arkansas Razorbacks. It's the pictures of him as a child at a replica stadium of Rosenblatt. I don't know where this is. There seems to be some hills in the background. I'll bring up one of the pictures here in a second, but somebody tell me somewhere in the state of Nebraska where they had like a miniature Rosenblatt stadium.
Oh wow.
Because I don't know where this is. Oh, okay. So he's wearing a shirt that says 12U Stars and Stripes Classic, Kearney, Nebraska. So this is in Kearney, maybe. Anyway, but there he goes. He's coming home. He's going to be the darling of town, Josh. Arkansas, by the way, has a couple of Omahans on their roster, but just one hitting in the middle of their lineup. Kind of a big deal.
It is.
Here is a phone call on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline from Random Mike. Hi, Mike. Good to hear from you.
Hey, I got a suggestion. I think people listening will get a real kick out of it. I'm a Kozeal guy, but mainly for football. And even Gary Sharp, who I think is a hell of a football telecast guy, said that maybe the most entertaining game he ever broadcast in high school football was the Millard Southwest Side game. And this is one of the great high school teams ever in Nebraska, that West Side one. But Kozeal and Rizek put on a show as quarterbacks.
Yep.
And one play Kozeal made near the end of the game is one of the best quarterback plays I've ever seen in high school. And I've been looking for it. And it's easy to find now. You just go to his Huddle senior season highlights, and it's the first play. And I recommend what I'm asking you to do is talk to the Arkansas public relations people or whatever they call them, and have them find that and put it on the telecast for the World Series so everybody can see what a great quarterback he was. That play is unbelievable. I don't know if you saw that game.
I'm going to try and find it right now, Mike.
Okay. It's the first play in this Huddle senior season.
Okay.
It's easy to find. And that's how talented he was as a quarterback. And it made me think of, because Van Horn said he made two plays in this last series with Tennessee, which was huge. And one of them was his slide at home plate on a wild pitch, where, it was great instincts, but the way he slid was a football kind of thing, because he kind of slid toward the pitcher to keep him from getting too close. And then he made a play on a double play as a second baseman. But my other question is, why the hell didn't he even consider Nebraska or Creighton? Because I've heard his list of teams didn't include either one of them.
Well, I think at a certain point you probably realize I am one of the best players in the country, and I want to go play against the best player. Like, I want to challenge myself at that level. Like, I don't think it has to be any more complicated than that.
Yeah, I agree. But so was Alex Gordon, I mean, he came here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it could happen. But yeah, it's that whole northern-southern thing. And why the hell do you want to play in 20-degree weather? And you just can't recruit the players. But you're right. But that senior season where he plays on the national team and misses 3 or 4 football games, which they all lost, and then when he comes back, they win almost all of them. He's quite an amazing athlete. And you look at him as a baseball player, and you wouldn't think he's a great high school quarterback, but he was.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's super versatile. By the way, I just watched the play. I think it's the first time I've ever seen that, Mike. I mean, he broke like 8 tackles about 15 to 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage and then chucked it 40 yards on the run down the field. Now, did the guy drop it in the end zone?
No, he caught it.
Okay.
And he went into overtime.
Okay.
It's one of the great West Side teams, great high school teams ever. And by the way, speaking of transfers, Jalen Lloyd is the number 1 listed receiver at Okie State. That kind of pisses me off. But
I don't know if it pisses me off, but
I'll let you go.
Okay, bye, Mike. Good to hear from you. Look at that. We knew that Random Mike was in the queue there, so I was like, okay, I guess I'll give him the lead in of Cam Kozeal. I don't know if he was going to talk about Cam Kozeal, but I anticipated that he was, and he came through for us.
He always does.
He always does.
Imagine not wanting to talk to random Mike or any caller.
We love phone calls.
Yeah.
I love talking on the phone. I got a phone call last night.
Whoa.
I answered it, and I said it, hello, and then we talked.
Our very own Chris Prudon called me several times yesterday.
That we're going to be talking to Chris Prudon on the phone a lot over the next 2 weeks.
And I just do what he says because
I love that.
He's got a reason.
And the directions become very simple. Like if random Mike would have texted into the show and he would have said, hey, pull up Cam Kozeal's senior football highlights and watch the first play, I probably would have been like,
I'll get to it whenever I got time.
Yeah. But when he calls, there's a real action plan in there. You got to do it. You got to do it right now while I'm talking. I'll give you time. And there it goes. Jimmy writes in.
Hi, Jimmy.
I love the awkward waste of time phone calls. No, these are not waste of time phone calls.
I believe he's talking more about like the beginning of a phone call. Like, hey, how you doing? How's the family? Like,
good.
With a text, you can just
but come on. There is. I'm cool with pleasantries.
Okay.
I had people talk about emails and like what's the proper email greeting. It's like, I hope this email finds you well. It's like, no, put something at the beginning. Zhuzh it up for me a little bit. Make it look good. I'm probably not going to answer the question like, how are you? How's your family? And then when you get to the point, hey, send me a form or whatever it is, I'm probably not going to answer the question, but I like that it's there. I'm okay with a little chit chat. Yeah, I'm okay with a little chit chat. I'm okay with
okay.
I'm okay with that.
I gotta think
pleasant.
You're the outlier in your age group for that, right?
Really? I don't know. I don't know that very many people would admit like I really enjoy mindless chit chat. I'm not here to say like I enjoy it, but I like that it's there. I think it has a place. Maybe you'll find out something. Maybe the person will say, I'm not doing so good today. Very few people will say that.
That's true.
I'm not doing so good today, but
not great.
Thank you for asking. I really needed this. Don't skip the pleasantries. It's nice. It's nice. Speaking of quarterbacks, I want to bring this to you real quick. So Steve Sipple posted this on his message board. Steve Sipple has a message board.
Wow.
By the way, he talked to Dayton Raiola.
Got to be very clear. Dayton.
So he's the younger brother of Dayton Raiola. Yes, that guy. So Dayton.
If Dylon's our baby, then what is Dayton?
He is our baby's baby.
Our baby's baby.
His baby's baby. 2026, right? So he is. Nebraska has Dylan Raiola. They have TJ Lateef in the class below him. Then they have Dayton Raiola, and then they have Trey Taylor.
I'm hearing a lot of things about Trey Taylor.
So many things about Trey Taylor.
Second coming.
He might be really good. I don't know.
That's what they're saying.
He won't be playing college football for a little while now. But it's good that he's committed to Nebraska. And it's good that he's working on Nebraska's behalf to recruit. But there's a guy that we like to skip over, Dayton Raiola. He's a little bit more quiet, but seems as if from a body perspective, he has sort of started to grow into his body a little bit, which
Does
is
he
good.
like high school hoops?
People were commenting at the Friday Night Lights thing or the whatever thing that they did over the weekend, the Boneyard Bash, that it's like, whoa, he's a pretty big guy now. Watch out. And as Steve Sipple posted, he's got some quotes that might make you go, all right. So what is our general opinion in this state on 7-on-7 football?
Oh, wow.
7-on-7 football. What do you
I think it changed over the weekend.
do you hear 7-on-7 football and you kind of roll your eyes a little bit? It's like, what are we doing here?
Yes.
Why do we need to pay attention to this?
Yes. Oh, you don't have enough people to have all 11?
Well, there is. I've heard
community is so small.
Well, that's a possibility. That's a necessity to play 7-on-7 football. But the 7-on-7 like circuit around the country, right? It is. It's like the AAU. Like, hey, let's just pick up and we'll get eyes on us for all these wide receivers and quarterbacks and defensive backs around the country. Although it's not particularly advantageous for the defensive backs to just get burnt to a crisp in this 7-on-7 thing all the time. But I digress. So 7-on-7 football. I would say if the state had a general opinion on 7-on-7 football, they would sort of roll their eyes a little bit. Okay, whatever. Talk to me about like, yeah, but you still have to do the physical parts of football. You still got to want to be mean. You still got to want to run over a guy, run through a brick wall, stuff like that. Well, Dayton Raiola handshake meme with that thought process. Sipple writes this: Dayton isn't a big fan of 7-on-7 football in general. God bless him, Sipple writes. Which is very, very good. Quote, I've never really gotten into the 7-on-7 business or the club teams, he said. I normally use that time to go and train, so I don't really know much about it. He did know that the Boneyard event was a, quote, big deal for his future program. I saw all the kids coming through, and they looked like some pretty good athletes, he said. Pretty understated. Yeah, whatever. Look like pretty good athletes, I suppose. So what's the value of 7-on-7 football? Steve Sipple asks. Dayton Raiola, 2026 quarterback, says, quote, I don't really see any value in it.
Oh, wow.
It's totally different in 11-man when you have 3 or 4 defenders coming at you and they're trying to take your head off, you know? Plus, there's a bunch of moving parts in what I say is real football, which is 11-on-11, he said. In 7-on-7, you don't have to take a drop if you don't want to. You could just go from one side of the field to the other like it's nothing. You can't do that in real football. So that's why I don't really partake in it. When I do it with my school, the 7-on-7 stuff, I try to treat it like a real football game. I'll go through my progressions and take my drops that I'd actually take. As Sipple writes and finishes the message board post, that's maturity, pure and simple.
Maturity.
What do we think about Dayton Raiola? I'm kind of vibing with this kid right now.
Yeah.
I'm vibing with him. So the thought process on young Dayton is that he seems, there was this picture from over the weekend that was like him and Dylan standing next to each other, and like Dylan's not doing anything, right? Dayton's actually working out. He's on the field and he's performing football activities. Dylan's
not doing anything?
Not at this. He gets in his work before 6 o'clock in the morning.
Whew.
So at this, they're next to each other on the field at Memorial Stadium, and Dylan's out there and he's got his head buried in his phone, and this is not a slight to Dylan, by the way. Please don't put it on the internet. This is a slight to Dylan. But he's got his head buried in his phone, and he's got like his his bag on his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. But you compare him to his little brother, who's 2 years younger than him, and he's like, he's got this kind of angry, mean look on his face, and he's grinding, he's sweating and stuff like that. And people are like, now, this is an interesting picture. People seem to think that Dayton Raiola, it feels to me like Dayton has more of the bleep you that his father, their father, Dominic, was so famous for over the years, right? Like he kind of, you played center in the NFL for that long, and you were part of a few great teams at Nebraska and one of the all-time greats on the offensive line. You got to have a little bit of bleep you to you, right? You're a leader, you're a captain. Dayton seems to have that kind of hard edge to him where, and once again, not a slight against Dylan. Don't put it on the internet that I'm slighting Dylan, because I think there's a lot of different ways that you could do this. But what I am saying is people in this state seem to gravitate more toward those personalities than they do the other one. Am I wrong about that?
Oh, no, not at all.
Right.
There's a lot of...
Dayton has endeared himself to Nebraska fans by doing nothing in a way that Dylan Raiola didn't really have the time to, especially as a recruit. We didn't really get to know him much as a recruit because he flipped late, and obviously there was a relationship, and then there wasn't for a while, and then there was again right at the very end.
No need to ask why or whose fault it was.
That came together sort of quick, and we've gotten to know Dylan a little bit, but you get to see how he ticks a little bit. But now we're starting to understand his little brother as well. And Trey Taylor is, the 2027 quarterback. He is sort of there's some substance there, but there's a lot of flash. Like he's on social media like a lot. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Dayton is like, I don't care about any of that crap. Can I just like hit some dudes? Now, the quarterback position,
They don't let you hit a lot of dudes.
no, but people love football players.
Mhm.
And it does seem like Dayton has that football player to him.
There's a lot of lunch pail in this state,
Yeah.
and he's a lunch pail guy, right? Like, he's going to endear himself to a large portion of the fan base.
Kind of interesting, isn't it?
Very.
I hadn't really thought about because Dayton gets lost in the wash in this conversation. TJ Lateef is already on campus. Trey Taylor is out there making noise in the 7-on-7s, and he's peer recruiting like crazy. Basically,
everyone has a column about Trey Taylor.
He basically works for Nebraska football at this point, and there are obvious advantages to that. But Dayton, he grew up, enjoying Nebraska football and has a really good picture of what it's like. And I think really, seems like he's wired in a similar way to his dad, which I find fascinating. So all I'm saying is don't skip over Dayton. Don't skip over Dayton. This is not to say that he's going to be a good player or a better player than anybody, but like I said, we seem to gravitate around here, and there's good reason, because I don't know, like it's just endearing, right? It's like, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I'm going to play football. I'm going to get bigger, better, stronger. And if some dude, wants to, try and run me over, I'm going to try and fight him or something like. He seems to have that hard edge to him. I want to see I do want to see a little bit of that from Dylan. If there was a criticism, or if there was a little bit of a criticism on him, like I do want to see that hard edge. I don't want him to force anything. I don't want him to fake anything, but I do want to see him getting after dudes.
A little fire.
Yeah.
You're the leader.
Yeah.
Lead.
And I'm not talking about just like outwardly like celebrating and stuff like that. Like that's one thing, but I'm talking about how you interact with your teammates. I think there is no doubt that, and we've seen this over the years, teams play harder for quarterbacks that they know they have their backs and they're one of them, and they'll listen to. That's part of being a leader. Yeah, you got to have a voice, but you got to have a voice that people really take seriously. You have to be an arm and extension of the coach. And I do think there is real positives to having that hard edge as a quarterback. So I'm watching that one. I'm watching you, Dayton Raiola, and I like them quotes about 7-on-7. I don't really see any value in it.
I don't know.
Whatever.
A lot of whistles.
I can go around and throw the football in my backyard anytime I want. Okay. I like hitting people. I like football. I don't know what this is, but I like football.
He's going to be a star.
I'm vibing with you. All right. Quick break. Alan Bell is up on the other side. Back after this on 1620 The Zone.